Hi everyone, so my name is Junde. I'm VP of Asia Pacific for App Annie. Okay, and I'm happy to be here today to show you some of the very interesting numbers and trends we see in China. Okay, so what we're going to do today is to quickly introduce our company and then go to all the important stats. So App Annie today, we are the global leading provider of App Store market data analysis. We are a very global company. We are strategically located in all the regions where developers are concentrated. So we have offices in China, in Japan, in Korea, in Russia, in London, and San Francisco. We're also funded in 3 rounds of venture capital. And here are some of our biggest users across all regions, all verticals. Today we provide 3 products: Analytics, Store Stats, and Intelligence. Analytics is a free service that helps you track your downloads and revenues across all your apps, across iOS, Google Play, and recently we've also added functionality that helps you track your ad expense, ad revenues across different ad networks like AdMob, Chartboost, and so on. And all of this is free and no SDK integration required. Our second tool, Store Stats, it basically helps you track all the historical rankings of all apps across all countries. It's a very easy application for you to do market research on the app stores. For our premium product, Intelligence, this provides you the most accurate estimates of downloads and revenues for every app, every publisher, every category size, every country size in the world. This helps you, this powers a lot of strategic marketing decisions, competitive decisions in a lot of big companies and just companies in general in the mobile space. Okay, so moving on, we're going to show you some important numbers about the Chinese market. So for App Annie today, we cover the official platforms of iOS, App Store, and Google Play. So because in China, Google Play is not really substantial, so today we're only showing you the iOS numbers in China, but still it's very, very substantial, very, very important numbers. Okay, so firstly, we look at where China is in terms of iOS and Google Play game downloads in the month of November last year. So China, by iOS game downloads, is number 2 in the world. And you can see here also the proportion of iOS versus Google Play downloads in the other countries. So China is by far number 2. And if you were to look at game revenue, China is number 4 in the world, right after Japan, US, and Korea. So although we do not cover Google Play, but I can say that Android revenue in China is at least as big as iOS in China, and this is projected to grow even faster. So this is following the trend of other big East Asian countries like Japan and Korea, where Google Play is already bigger than iOS in terms of revenue. Okay. And also, we would like to look at growth. How has China been growing in the iOS market? So we're comparing November last year versus November in 2012. You see that China has not moved in terms of iOS country download rankings, but on revenues, this is just iOS and it's just the official store, no jailbreak revenue. China is already number 3 in the world. So a lot of developers have this misconception that, oh, Chinese gamers don't pay. Actually, it's number 3 in the world now. And also, it's an interesting trend to see that on iOS, it's mainly the bigger countries that are growing. Countries like China and Russia and a bit of Australia. Okay, so next we go into a quick summary of the top games by iOS downloads in China last year. So you already see there's a lot of domination from Tencent. There's Rhythm Master in number 1. Number 2 is a traditional Chinese card game. Chinese poker game, Fight the Landlord. Number 3 is one of the biggest games. It's a run and jump game called Guns Dash. And then you have, from number 4 to number 10, you see actually some interesting entries from foreign publishers. There's Temple Run 2, and there's Plants vs. Zombies 2, because both of these games, the first version of the game was a huge hit in China, so many people were anticipating the second release. And at number 9, hardest game ever, this is from a company, a small studio in Taiwan. They had accumulated huge downloads worldwide. And number 10 is also a very interesting entry. In English, it's called Carrot Fantasy, and it's actually a tower defense game, and it's one of the very unique ones where it's tower defense is about protecting your carrots from angry rabbits. So this kind of addressed one market segment that was kind of ignored in China for a long time. They attracted a lot of girls playing this. And a lot of girls were playing this, they were sharing it on social channels, and it was very popular for a long time. So this is something that could be up and coming in China, not just China, but Asia in general. Games targeting girls. Okay, and also this is, it's interesting to note that a lot of Tencent games you see here were only released in the second half of the year. So Tencent's first game, the first game that Tencent released was the number 6 entry, Crazy Match. It was released in June. And all the other games were released between June to December. So despite only being there for half the year, they're top in terms of downloads. And in terms of revenue, so the top game in China last year by iOS revenue, it's IMNT Online. It's a card battle game. It makes use of an IP that was very popular amongst World of Warcraft gamers. It's called MT Online. And Supercell's Clash of Clans is number 2 in China for the whole year. And number 3 is Guns Dash. Again, this is very noteworthy because this was only released around September. So although it only had 3 or 4 months of revenue, it is number 3 for the year. And it's also very interesting because probably Guns Dash is the only casual game amongst this top 10. So when you start to monetize the masses, people paying for run and jump games, this is when the market of gamers is really starting to mature and also possibly opening up to more foreign publishers as well. So the rest of the games here are more traditional Chinese games or more heavy RPG games. Next, we look at who are the top publishers in China by iOS downloads for the whole year. So it's surprising to note that actually amongst the top 10, there are actually quite a few non-Chinese companies. So Tencent is number 1, and this, like I said, only picked up during the middle of the year because we're only counting game downloads, not counting WeChat downloads and all that. Those are non-games. And EA is number 2, with a lot of downloads coming from Plants vs. Zombies. And then Gameloft is number 3, and then you have a lot of other Chinese companies and foreign companies, as well. Yeah. And number 7, Lobo, that's the company that made the game Carrot Fantasy. Note that this is only for iOS. There are other companies that are very strong in the Android space, and it's quite well known that Android in China is bigger than iOS in terms of downloads. So next we look at top publishers by games revenue in China. So number 1 is Tencent, number 2 is Locojoy, and number 3 is Supercell. So Supercell, this is also quite an achievement because they're probably 1 out of 3 foreign publishers here, and they probably do not have a full-fledged office or anybody in China yet. Gameloft and EA have been in China for a long time. Okay, so finally, last slide, we look at what might be more applicable for a lot of you guys. Here are the top 5 publishers by total revenue in China last year, foreign publishers. And also we list the top game. So it's interesting to note that all these 5 publishers and their top games, those top games are all heavy RPG games. But it will be interesting to look at for this year if casual games start to monetize in China as well, especially foreign casual games. Supercell Clash of Clans is a very interesting example because if you look back into a few months back, Chinese was actually the first Asian language to introduce into the Clash of Clans game. And if you were to evaluate why, because at that point in time, perhaps they would have thought, okay, the biggest countries in APAC are China, Japan, Korea, and technically the biggest country for revenue is Japan. But Japan, despite being the biggest country, had a very small penetration for iPad. And Clash of Clans is an iPad-optimized game. Korea was the second biggest in terms of store revenue, but Korea was very small on iOS. And China, although China has huge download numbers, and not just that, the percentage of credit card owners amongst iPad owners is much higher than those on the iPhone, because a lot of people in second-tier cities, third-tier cities, they just buy the iPhone because it's an iPhone. They're very brand conscious. But amongst iPad owners, a lot of them are more used to payment channels, credit cards, and so on. So Supercell added Chinese language for Clash of Clans, and it resulted in a huge rise in terms of download ranking and also grossing ranking. Yep. Okay, so this is all I have to share for the important numbers on the Chinese market. And there's a lot of other information for free that you can get on our website. So thank you.